What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a fantastic afternoon. The Miami Hurricanes completed their first fall scrimmage this past weekend. I think we're roughly 3 Saturdays away from facing Bethune-Cookman. We're right there, and man, I'm really excited to talk some Canes football. We'll go through the scrimmage real quick. Tyler Van Dyke, he is our starting quarterback. He's going to be the leader of this offense, guys. Hands down, he's taking full, complete control of this offense, and I strongly believe, the better Tyler Van Dyke is this upcoming season, the farther the Miami Hurricanes will go. I think this will be his last season as a Miami Hurricanes quarterback. If everything goes well, fully healthy season, he's successful. It's good to hear that he's transitioning well into Josh Gaddis' offense, and there's no hiccups at all. Remember, there was not a lot of basically, coaches assisting players and knowing their assignments, knowing the playbook throughout this scrimmage. It was really up to them, and it went very organized. Um, you know, Ross, how do you feel about Tyler Van Dyke this upcoming season? I really think last year was his breakout season, but I really think with Josh Gaddis as as an offensive coordinator, I mean, it can really be a scary deal.
Yeah, Gaddis at OC for us, and then the possible emergence of some of our younger wide receivers. Sounds like Restrepo and TVD have got one hell of a connection that they've already built. We can expect Xavier to be peppered with targets pretty much early in the season, throughout the season. I wouldn't be surprised if it's an entire season thing because of the connection that they've built. We still need to get that other one or two wide receivers that can step in consistently.
Correct.
Sounds like Keyshawn Smith has had some moments, definitely, but it's kind of I've read contradictive reports, kind of things saying that yes he did have some moments, but then the defense kind of for the most part kept him in check. So I'm not quite 100% sure what they're saying with that, but he's the type of guy though that we need to take that next step. And maybe even a Frank Ladson type, so at least for his height in his body, and going up, getting jump balls and stuff like that. There's ways we can utilize him, even if it's not main like a ton of targets. There's ways we can still get him involved.
Tyler Van Dyke and Xavier Restrepo, they have the best chemistry, I think going into the regular season as quarterback and wide receiver. That duo, I think Restrepo by far is going to be your number one wide receiver. And that was his go-to guy throughout the scrimmage, this past weekend. Keyshawn Smith, made some good plays over the scrimmage, had a good week of practice, phenomenal football player. We know what he brings to the table. He's a speedster. But I think after Restrepo's confirmed, he's gonna, be TBD's go-to guy. But after that, who's gonna be your outside threat? Is it gonna be Frank Latson? Is it gonna be Kobe Young? Who's gonna replace Charleston Rambo as that deep ball threat? Jacoby George. We see him have flashes of success. Romello Brinson, he was injured. Everybody said he's a very twitchy football player. Can make the first man miss. Has good hands. Made a great catch against Central Connecticut State. We have a lot of great players. Isaiah Horton, when we were with Luke Cheney, said he looked phenomenal during fall practice. He did get injured during the scrimmage, but it seems like it's only going to be 3 to 4 days, the significance of the injury. So, ultimately, look out for Isaiah Horton as well. Maybe a true freshman steps in. But after Xavier Restrepo, where do you go from there? And I'm curious. I'm very curious. I know we have a strong tight end group, but are we going to have to utilize Jalen Knighton, line him up as a wide receiver? We're going to have to take him out of the backfield, utilize him as a Swiss Army knife. Brashard Smith as well. It's another wide receiver you can utilize as a Swiss Army knife. So it's going to be very interesting, where our wide receiver room stands going into the regular season and how they progress.
Maybe you can help me here. I'm totally drawing a blank, but the JUCO wide receiver we got,
Kobe Young.
Yeah, Kobe Young. I mean, kind of like Ladson, another guy with size. You can never discount things you can't teach. He's got something you simply can't teach. So there are ways to get those kind of guys involved. And Brashard Smith is honestly a name that should be brought up as well, because kind of hoping to hear him more involved with the offense, kind of hoping to hear him kind of get involved in multiple ways with the offense, but really haven't been hearing a whole lot of that. Maybe it's something they're saving for the season. Maybe they're keeping things really, vanilla and very, very just, easy going right now. But still, though, I'd like to hear a little something out of him and like to hear that he's involved in the offense because, man, his speed is unbelievable.
Michael Redding has been having a very good spring and fall camp.
Yeah.
He was getting a lot of reps on the first team. That's another name to look out for. So I'm going to be very curious who's implemented in this offense heavily. I can tell you, I think we're going to see Frank Latson and Colby Young a lot early on, especially against Bethune-Cookman. I think they want to develop a deep ball threat and outside target. Someone's got to step up from those two guys moving forward. All right, let's move over to the running backs. If you haven't heard yet, Trevante Citizen, the true freshman four-star running back, did suffer an injury during the scrimmage, and Mario Cristobal said it is a very serious injury. There hasn't been an ETA on, how long he'll be out for, but Coach Cristobal did say that it was a more serious injury than Isaiah Horton. The expectation was Isaiah Horton was going to be out 3 to 4 days. So, that's really sucks for Trevante Citizen, who a lot of people said does not look like a freshman by any means. He could play college football right away. What does that also say about the running back room? I just mentioned Jalen Knighton can be utilized as a Swiss Army knife. He can be utilized as a wide receiver and a running back. And I think Josh Gaddis is going to implement that as well in his offense. You also have Don Chaney coming back off of a very long injury. Is he going to be ready to go early on? So, and Jalen Knighton came off an injury as well. And then you have Henry Parrish and Thad Franklin. I think coming out of this scrimmage, I think your top two running backs, well, I'll say this, your top three, I think you're going to go Jalen Knighton, Henry Parrish, and then Don Chaney in that order. Because I think Don Chaney is going to need a little bit of time to get ready for the rest of the season.
I mean, that's fair, and to bring in the guy that we brought, as our backup there, as you're listing. I mean, Parrish has versatility, and you can't knock versatility. So at least until Chaney's ready to get going full time, having a guy with some versatility out there ahead of him, maybe getting just a handful more snaps per game and early on, it doesn't bother me one bit whatsoever. And I hate to hear that Citizen is out because, like you mentioned, I mean, the buzz was that he simply did not look like a freshman, like at all on the field and physically. But I believe in Thad Franklin, and I believe that Thad can still give us that real power aspect in the run game when called upon. So I think a lot of this really depends on honestly, the whole picture. While Rooster is still going to be the main focus, I think a lot of it could depend on Chaney's health. Just simply being a guy who can come in, do multiple things, and take relief off of other guys. Take snaps away so guys aren't getting overloaded while being productive, because we know Chaney can be productive.
No, absolutely. It's going to be very interesting, how we're going to split the carries. Obviously, having three running backs a game getting carries, I think that's your max. I don't think you can go over that. But ideally for me, I would like to have two running backs primarily, get the majority of the carries. So, but then again, Knighton, if he's utilized in the slot as well, he's going to be on the field a lot. So, hey, it's going to be very interesting what Josh Gaddis really, pulls together in this offense. And I think we have a lot of weapons, though. That's the good thing. If we can utilize Knighton in a slot role as a running back in an offense, and you have Rashard Smith as well that you can utilize in a similar position, plus Don Chaney for short yardage situations, I think goal line situations as well, and Henry Parrish, I think you have a very solid offense, and those are just a small sample of names. We have plenty more names we can talk about. Ross, want to talk about offensive line before we get to tight end? I mean, tight end, I think we have identified Will Mallory is going to be our leader of the group. You have Jaleel Skinner, five-star tight end who looks like a freak athlete. I mean, he looks like a wide receiver, but he's really just a stud. I'm really, if you saw him in the spring game, Jaleel Skinner does not look like a freshman tight end. I mean, he looks like literally. I mean, it's going to be scary when he's a junior. I'll leave it at that. Elijah Arroyo is another good football player. We have the tight end room. The tight end room is loaded. I mean, anything you just want to talk about that? Because I mean, we're fine at tight end in my opinion.
I think the emergence of a guy like Arroyo is going to play a big part in helping us. And depth is quality. You want depth everywhere in the field. Frankly, you want it at every position. If he's ready to step into that number 2 role, that only makes us a better offense because I've heard he can run some amazing routes for a tight end. Like he's got some very, very high route running skills. I'd love to see him get involved early. And like you mentioned, Skinner can get involved in a variety of ways. He can be basically a hybrid for us. And when you're a hybrid, that means that you can find snaps in ways that other guys can't find snaps as a tight end number 3. So yeah, the tight end room, if healthy, should be pretty damn good, honestly.
So talking about offensive line, okay, they were basically in the trenches. The defensive line won the battle of the trenches during the scrimmage. The reason why, in my opinion, okay, the first team, second team, third team defensive line is much stronger than Miami's first team, second team, third team offensive line. We don't have a second team offensive line that's assembled yet. When we interviewed Coach Pata, he said that was something they were working on in the offseason to identify and establish a second team offensive line. So don't even think about talking about third team O line because it's not there. So depth needs to be built. This is a long project for offensive line.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to happen. Now the positive is our D line is very good. We have a very, very talented defensive line. They should be dominating our offensive line. Okay, I really think this is one of the stronger defensive line units in the nation. And I think the coaching staff did a great job identifying the right players, like Akeem Mesidor, for example, coming in from the transfer portal to be plugged into this D line. So, at left tackle, Ross, I'm going to tell you 2 names: John Campbell, Jalen Rivers. Who wins that position and why?
Man, I mean, I'm a big Rivers guy. But it seems that Campbell's actually had some decent snaps. It sounds like. I don't know if they're going to want to take experience there in that instance while they're waiting for Zion to get healthy for the left tackle role. I don't know if they're going to want to take the more raw upside. It's tough. It's a tough call. I could see this staff starting off with Campbell just because he's got some of the stripes. He's earned a little bit. Well, it's hard to say he's earned the stripes, but he's actually been on the field more. I could see that happening early, and if he doesn't perform well, it would be a quick switch over to Jalen. And frankly, dude, I'd like to see Jalen on the field sooner than later because I feel like his play is going to be a humongous factor in this offensive line. I seriously think so.
Hey, you're really big on Jalen Rivers. I mean, we're talking off stage, and you said, you really think he has an NFL body. I mean, he really does have a bright future at Miami. You think he can play in the NFL, Ross?
He's got in terms of physical abilities right now, he has got what the NFL is looking for. Of course, he needs to refine his game, but the upside for him is NFL upside. That's what clearly.
I think we're in a good position at left tackle. I really do with those 2. I think we're fine. We're not playing in the SEC every week where it's, your second team needs to be there. If not, over time you'll get drained. So I think we're fine there. Left guard, Justice Oluwaseun will be your starter. Your center's going to be Ja'Kai Clark. And this is where it gets interesting, guys. At right guard, Logan Sagapolu, who is the transfer from Oregon, will be your right guard. And your right tackle is DJ Scaife as of right now. That's what our first team unit looks like as of right now. Our second team, that's where it's like, that's where it's a big question mark to me. I like that first team overall. Do you see anyone competing for a specific position for that second team, or like anyone you're in favor of, Ross? Because, I'm seeing names, Michael McLaughlin, Matthew McCoy, and Nez Cooper. I don't know. I don't have a vote of confidence for any of those guys.
To me, I'll take whoever's willing to step up, and it doesn't matter their age, honestly. Whoever's willing to step up and ready to play. And it sounds like a guy like Matthew McLaughlin has actually impressed the staff multiple times. So he could slide into a role like that just because, I mean, dude, he he's got the body, man. I mean, he's especially if he's been in the weight room and the strength and conditioning program and stuff, working with Feld, working with our other guys. I mean, they showed how quick of a transformation his body made just from last year. So he's working with new guys. I think he's working with even better guys now to help his body out. So, dude, he could possibly slide into that backup spot. He really could.
Michael McLaughlin, was he at like 6'6", 6'7" right now? He's just a little bit underweight.
Yeah, yeah. Just he came in a little underweight, little. He needed a little more muscle, but from what I understand, that's been the focus, and they're putting it on him.
Okay. Hey, we'll see what happens there. Very excited about this, guys. We're going to switch over to defensive line. I mentioned Akeem Mesidor. Um, Previously in this show, he was all over the football field making tremendous plays in the scrimmage. We talked about this last show, Ross. We need to identify a starting edge rusher, and I think we found that at the end with Akeem Mesidor. And I think on the opposite side, you're going to see Javari Harvey potentially, or you can pick your poison. You have plenty of options. You have Elijah Roberts, Chance Williams. The list keeps going on and on. You even have Cyrus Moss back there as well. Akeem Mesidor, this could be our breakout transfer portal player of the year. A steal from West Virginia. Huge. I'm glad it's clicking right now because we're going to need a extremely dominant D-line on this defense. We'll talk about linebacker playing a little bit, but Ross, I mean, just we'll talk about DA and then we'll move over to the interior.
Yeah, I mean it's huge having his presence felt already. Honestly, it's huge. And then you've got a guy like Jafari Harvey. I mean, absolute physical specimen. I mean, he's the type of physical specimen that we turn into NFL players. And we've been waiting for this. Everybody's been waiting to see his game kind of take that next step. Hopefully this is the year. You know, we've heard some decent things. I've heard some good things at times, even, you know, coming out of camp about him. So hopefully this is the year he takes that next step because we need that other pass rusher. We can't just rely on, you know, one guy coming in, transfer, you know, and being the guy. We just can't do it. We got to have a little bit of depth getting to the quarterback in general throughout the whole defensive line. But I like how you mentioned Cyrus Moss, man. Don't count him out for getting some snaps at certain moments. Seriously, he's that
Kelly as well played extremely well during the scrimmage.
Yes.
Extremely well. We're in a great position. We're in an outstanding position D-line wise. When you have true freshman players, you know, making a big impact, we're in a great position, guys. If only our O-line had that much depth.
Nigel Kelly, from what I hear, dude, Nigel Kelly does not look like a freshman. I mean, he's turning into the body type already that we want for the interior, and that's just scary on what he might be able to do, dude. Seriously, like his upside is scary good.
Defensive tackle wise, Ross, I mean, where do you think we stand right now? And we're pretty loaded there. We have a lot of names to pick from.
Yeah. I mean, what's been the lineup so far? You know,
I'll be honest with you. I think Jared Harrison Hunt
yeah,
been playing very well. I don't know where Leonard Taylor stands right now, to be honest. Daryl Jackson is another name to look out for. You know, ideally, I would love to see, you know, Jared Harrison Hunt. I mean, his freshman year, he played very well. Second year, I think it was injuries. I'm not sure what it was per se. I can't recall, but, you know, he didn't play as well, didn't get as much playing time. I think if Leonard Taylor can really excel this upcoming season, which he should, I mean, imagine those two starting in the interior.
I mean, that's exactly what we want and what we need, honestly. We need our 5-star to take that leap early. We need to show that development early. I hope that he's physically ready because last year watching his film, there were simply moments in time where he was going up against juniors and seniors, and they just had more college muscle, more college weight on them. You know, it wasn't anything for them to kind of push him out of the way. So my hope is that they've really built him up physically because from a talent standpoint, we all know he's got tremendous talent. That's not even a question. So if you get him built up and he maintains that athletic ability, he should be ready to go sooner than later.
And I think Daryl Jackson as well. I mean,
Yes.
You got fresh 3.542. I mean, saying he's 6'6", 330 pounds.
Yes.
You know, he's a defensive tackle. We'll be utilizing him. He played very well in the scrimmage as well. You know, that's a big body. That's a huge presence in the interior. I mean, we really are in a scary position D-line wise, guys. I mean, I really do think so. And D Hernandez. I won't talk about players in the past, but I mean, we're fine. We really are in a good spot. I want to talk about linebacker play because Caleb Johnson played very well, and I know I've been repeating this a lot. We've been talking about this in our past videos. We need to. We don't know who would be starting at linebacker. We don't know. I don't think anybody knew. And Caleb Johnson, I think he will be one of our starters. Coming into this season, he played extremely well, and that's another transfer portal player. Great take by the staff. He's going to be a starter. He's going to be our starting linebacker come week 1. I guarantee you. Um, you know, and I think it's great. I think it's great. We're getting a veteran presence. I think Wesley Basaint as well has shown a lot of promise and potential.
That's going to be a big one to me right there. Is how ready is Wesley Basaint early on? Is he really? I mean, because dude, trust me, I believe his future is fantastic, and it's just a matter of when. It's just a simply matter of time. But if he's ready now and he can prove it now, teaming him up with the transfer would be really, really big compared to what we had last year. It'd be really, really big. And then you got a guy like a Chase Smith maybe playing a hybrid role or something, or Gilbert Frierson out there, doing certain things floating around. It could be dangerous. Yeah, we could actually set up something in the middle of our defense that could actually look decent. And it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm curious, where Frierson's going to be used in this defense. Is it going to be a hybrid role? Is he going to stay at striker? I mean, that's where I'm curious. And Chase Smith as well, another guy. I think those two guys you need to get on the field. I'm just curious how they're going to be utilized. I really don't have an answer for that. I think Frierson's going to play a lot. I really do. But at what position? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think Corey Flagg's going to see the field too much.
You find a way to get a guy like Frierson on the field, in my opinion. You find ways to make it work because he's that kind of guy. We saw him get misused. We saw what he looked like when he got used properly. He's going to get used properly by this staff, and I'd love to see him in this Kevin Steele defense.
So we'll talk about cornerback play real quick. Tyreek Stevenson, he's the leader of the group, hands down. This isn't a debate. It's not an argument. He's the leader of the cornerback unit. Daryl Porter Jr. has done very well this fall camp, which is surprising to me, to be honest, because he didn't participate in spring. You're plugging him in the fall. He's done a very good job, had a couple of picks throughout 7-on-7s. Look out for him to make an impact in the rotation. I understand DJ Ivey, I believe this should be his last year of college football. The COVID year kind of throws me off. We actually, believe it or not, have we have a bunch of 3-year redshirt freshmen because of the COVID year. But I'm glad to hear Daryl Porter is playing well in fall camp. I think we know what to expect from Takori Couch. I think we could, I'm confident with Takori Couch. Isaiah Dunson's a young, talented cornerback as well. DJ Ivey is still a question mark for me in this fan base. But I want to throw it to you, Ross, in this question because Al Blades Jr., and I hate to say this, but I feel like he's been lost in the shuffle from the past season with this coaching change. Do you think he'll get a lot of playing time? And where would he be used?
I'm not quite sure. It might take an injury for him to get more playing time, honestly. With the emergence of Isaiah Dunson, having a guy like him who's 6'2" with his reach and stuff, I mean, that just adds a whole new element to our cornerback unit, which is something that can't be denied. Blades wasn't, brought in by this current staff. They're going to view him differently. I don't think he plays much of a role this year, dude. Honestly, I really don't think there's much of a role for him unless somebody gets injured, and even maybe 1 or 2 injuries might have to take place, just depending on where it happens at. But I mean, one thing is that if he is depth, we do know he's got starter snaps in his belt, so at least he's got some kind of experience.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately. Hey, you never know. What maybe he has a good final year of college football. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The season is a lot of surprises. Any cornerbacks that you'd like to just talk about? About the position unit. We've identified Tyreek Stevenson as the leader. Daryl Porter's playing tremendous in the fall camp. I have a vote of confidence in Takori Couch. I love him primarily in the nickel, but due to our numbers, we might have to put him on the outside. I think he can be a liability tackling, but this is a new coaching staff. What do you think, Ross? Anything
Yeah,
else to add to that?
yeah, liability tackling, that could be the issue there, definitely. The guy that I was going to bring up is honestly the guy that we just spoke about, and that was Isaiah Dunson, because I'm so intrigued with his physical attributes and his physical upside that, I mean, he just fits in today's cornerback schemes. You know, guys like him are scattered all across the nation, all across SEC teams. You know, guys with that height and that length, with the athleticism. And thankfully, he fell in our lap in that recruiting class when he decommitted from FSU so late, and we had an open spot. It was basically just like perfect for him to come to Miami. So I'm glad that happened, because he's not just a fill-in player. He's a guy who's eventually going to get some decent snaps for us. There's no doubt about it. But you know, like you mentioned, Couch. I'm going to trust him, especially with this current staff. Porter looking good. Ivy gonna get his last shot here. Let's hope Ivy shows some consistency, because if he does, hey man, that's only a good thing for us. You know. Outside of those guys, I don't see much going on yet, and I haven't heard of much of else going on.
All right, let's move over to safeties before we wrap it up. Mario Cristobal stated today Cam Kitchens is playing really, really good football. Do not forget about his name. He's going to be a big impact player, because I know a lot of people are talking about James Williams, Vontae Williams. They were getting the majority of snaps on the first team. Cam Kitchens, look out for his name. Obviously, he went to Miami Northwestern, local high school football player. He's playing really good football at a really good time. I'm really excited about this entire group entirely. Honestly, I mean, just reviewing the defense, I mean, you know, it, I think we're going to be a lot better, Ross, to be honest. We're ranked 16th in the preseason poll. Safeties are just, I mean, they're great. This is the strongest position unit we have. I mean, D line is stronger, but I'm saying strongest safeties position unit we've had at Miami in a long time, in my opinion. We haven't had three guys like this that can play anywhere. You know.
And they all offer something a little different, and that's great. Kinchins to me was the number one pure safety coming out of his class, the number one guy who was kind of more ready to step in at a technical level. You know, not just raw strength and stuff like that. That was James. That was the James Williams pickup. You know, just a freaking nature. Still needed to refine some of his game, but what he can do on the field is so dangerous that you kind of just let the guy play and you let him do his thing. And then you got Avonte Williams, man. I mean, thankfully, he's still going to be playing for us. He's a tremendous player. I'm glad that Avonte Williams is going to be at the University of Miami, and he is going to get major snaps. I'm curious to see what kind of a rotation they put,
Yeah.
because I think it's going to be really, really dependent, you know, game by game, situation by situation, because all three of these guys are earning snaps.
I think strong safety, you have to put James Williams. I think at free safety, you're going to put Avante Williams. I think you can rotate maybe. I think Cam Kitchens. I don't know. Would you rather see him at strong or free safety? I would put him at free safety.
I would rather see him at free safety, at least for now, you know, and maybe he builds up his body or something like that a little later on. But I'd rather see him at free safety for the moment. I think he's got more of a sideline to sideline kind of coverage ability.
Cool. Well, that's the recap of scrimmage number one. Um, Basically, our entire small outlook of our full football team before we take on Bethune Cookman. Trevante Citizen has been labeled as a serious injury. We don't know the extent of it. We don't know what he injured, but it has been labeled by Coach Cristobal as a serious injury. So that's the information that we know. Hope everyone appreciated the show. If you guys can, on your way out, hit subscribe, hit the like button. We greatly appreciate your support. That's the only way you can really support us, or by donating. So thank you guys so much again for tuning in tonight. And always, all about the U. Go Canes.
Go Canes.